if it doesn't still exist, but as you know, there's a court case going on in Brussels where A22, the company behind the Super League, are challenging UEFA, ECA's partners, over their monopoly as a regulator and competition organizer. As far as I know, none of the Super League clubs, including the ones that have said sorry, have actually given up their shareholding, and they also benefit from this court case because they haven't paid fines. Are you going to tell those people to give up their shareholdings and come to a decision? Is it going to be ECA and UEFA they're with, or with A22 who continue to pursue legal action?
We continue working without them. You know, if they want to come back, of course, they are most welcome. The strange thing that they are celebrating also winning the UEFA club competition, which they know that is the best club competition in the world. So very strange that you're going against already existing fantastic club competition and you're participating and celebrating and enjoying the trophies, which I found it very strange, to be honest. But I think that, you know, we're not going to waste our time with this. We are moving on. We're trying to work the best for our clubs with UEFA as our partner. I think also the result and the joint venture for the new cycle, it's amazing. So everything is fantastic, going in the right way and more than we expect. So no complaint, we're working, let them do what they want, but for us, honestly, we just focusing on our goals, and we know it will not exist and it will never exist. Thank you.
Just to add on that one, because I think it's important to understand that within a year, I feel that now there's a better unity in ECA and better collaboration with UEFA than it's ever before. We achieved a lot of things within a year. So we're doing a great job in terms of the European football at the moment, and that's what we work for.
James, can we just, in the interest of everybody else, we'll come back if we have time.
I think in general, you like to play football with 11 players. You like to compete on the pitch with 11 players, and those are also players, Aki. So 11 players. So that's the same if you play football in a competition. You play football with all the clubs who are available, who qualify to play in a European tournament. And nowadays we have 3, and we like to have meetings and discussions with all clubs on the matters that are important to go forward. So in that way it will be, I think, great also at a certain point to have those discussions and meetings again with the clubs who are not here at the moment.
Okay. Josh?
Hi, Josh Noble from the Financial Times. The amount of money being generated by European club competitions keeps going up, which is fantastic news for everybody here. Are you worried about what it's doing to competitiveness in your own domestic leagues? And if you're not, is it just somebody else's problem?
Becky?
I can answer this being probably the only one with the distribution working group in all of the cycles and the coming one as well. I think what people probably don't realize is that the distribution system that was established with the growing numbers is the fairest one that has been in football for a very, very, very long time. If you look the actual outcome, that firstly the participation for different countries and within the countries has increased. The money is increased in all levels of the pyramid drastically, especially where it's needed the most, which is the 50 other countries outside of the top 5. The establishment with the format and the distribution of Europa League or Europa Conference League and how much is getting there, it's been a fantastic success in terms of all levels. And then when we come to the solidarity of the non-participating clubs, it's increased with around over 60%, which is amazing for vast majority of countries, especially the medium and smaller one, to be competitive, be professional, and have the professional football club going. So I think the growing number shows that the product is amazing, and it also shows that if we keep, which I have a feeling that the unity and the collaboration with the UEFA is better now than it's ever been before, and that with other stakeholders we can achieve a very fair distribution model this time again. And for me, the European competition is the one that actually keeps the balance right. It's some big 5 countries' domestic TV revenues that changes but competitive balance is not created by European competition. On the contrary, that's something that actually helps medium and smaller countries to compete.
Charlie, did you want to come in or continue? Okay, perfect. Tarek and then Martin in front.
Hi guys. Just got a question about the World Cups in 60 days, and talking to some of the club presidents here. The pressure of this calendar and having the season disrupted for 6 weeks, right in the middle of the season. How difficult is this one? How challenging is it? And what are you going to do in order to keep your clubs kind of going in this very, very odd period of time? And you know, talking to the people from Milan, for example, they were talking about the players being injured because of this compressed calendar. Can you describe some of that? And just a second one, because we're in Turkey, there's a lot of talk about referees in Turkey, and I was wondering, with the ECA you collaborate a lot. Is there a chance of, I don't know, loaning referees between countries and FAs to get rid of some of the controversy in certain countries? Thanks.
I think regarding the World Cup, I think it's I think we go to new territory. I think the World Cup will always be played in the summer, so obvious reasons. A couple of years ago, the FIFA changed it to November, December. So we have, as a club, we have to adjust. We need to adjust. Did you want to adjust? You want to play in the World Cup. The players want to be in the World Cup. So it's not easy, but I think we're all capable persons inside the club. The performance and the performance guys who knows what to do with the players who are, let's say, left behind. I think for some clubs, maybe you keep only 6 or 7 players. So also for managers, a possibility to look at some younger players. And of course, there will be some days off, but there will also be training probably in a warmer climate. So you can visit the market where, as a club, you want to have some exposure. And of course, the most exposure will be on the World Cup, because the best players in the world are playing in the World Cup in Qatar. And the world will be watching, and in the meantime, the clubs have to make sure if the international players come back after a very short holiday. I believe in England they restart immediately. In Holland we only start, I think, on the 6th of January. So depending on how good your national team is performing in the World Cup, if the players have a couple of days or a week or 10 days holiday to prepare for the second part of the season, and of course it's condensed. For players, it's not ideal, but at the moment where you have to deal with the situation that you're bringing forward, and I think for the players, we're looking forward to a tournament that, of course, will be the highlight of the football season in 22-23. Regarding referees, let's say I think there has been in the past, for example, between Belgium and Holland, there's been a change. I think, Michael. Maybe 8-9 years ago, between Belgian referees and Dutch referees. Yeah, as long as the laws of the game are the same, are similar or the same, and of course interpretation between maybe Mediterranean referees or Nordic referees can be different. But maybe it's something for Ali to say something about the quality or the problems with the referees in Turkey.
I'll pick my words carefully. But importing referees for certain matches, big matches, have not been tried here before. In different federations, some of them try it. In Greece, Saudi Arabia. Currently in Turkey, we have 5 or 6 slots missing. We need about 28 referees, elite referees. Maybe this season could be a season to try it out. But the main problem in Turkey is the flow of the game is much less than the rest of Europe. We are about 8 to 10 minutes less, and fouls are called very easily here. And when we go and play in the European arena, the game is much more flowing, and less fouls are called, so the fans and whoever is watching the games get more time in football. This is the main problem in Turkey. But I believe a country with 84 million people can recruit its own referees sufficiently.
Thank you. We'll go to Martin Lipton here in front.
Yeah, Martin Lipton from The Sun here. Gentlemen, you had a number of debates over the last couple of days. Has there been an agreement amongst the clubs? Because there does seem to be a degree of unity from the smaller nations up to the bigger ones. Is there agreement in your position on what is the bottom line of the amount of money from the new TV deal that you expect and will demand to stay within the clubs? Are you looking at sticking with that 78% of the gross revenues to stay within the clubs? And is that the key area of debate going forward?
I think just I will start a little later, maybe Aki will comment, but the good things, as I said earlier, we have very positive and united, honestly, atmosphere and synergy in between us, between all the clubs, and that's what is great. I mean, don't forget where we were a year ago and where we came from, so that's really important, but I can confirm to you that we are really in the right direction. We have the positive and good faith that we find, and we're going to find an agreement definitely. We're just starting now, so we have time. Maybe Aki, as he's the board, one of the board in the distribution, he can tell you more.
I mean, it's early days to say anything because we're starting the work now, but obviously the very, very positive signs for, increasing of revenues, it's fantastic, and it's what we can do with it is also very, very important. So we have maybe guidelines, but nothing is set in stone because we have to also speak with all the stakeholders, but it seems and it feels that the unity within our organization in ECA is very clear that we want to keep the fair distribution model there, and it benefits the whole pyramid as a whole, which is being done. And I think that's been the guideline, but the work really starts now, and we look to get the results together with other stakeholders as soon as possible. But I personally feel that last time we had this distribution working group, it was very difficult. We come from different worlds with many ways. Now, when what Chairman said as well, I feel that the unity here within 1 year is increased, and it's also collaboration with the other stakeholders. So I expect actually the distribution will be very fair, and it will be actually easier job than last time to find a solution that suits everybody.
Okay, we stay in the room.
Rob, yep. So let me just add one thing, because I think it's worth. We've spent quite a bit of time reflecting on the current distribution model. Everyone's focused on the future distribution model, but we've only just been 1 season into the current distribution model. And as Aki said, an enormous amount of work went into that model to get a kind of equitable and fair system in place. And we're encouraging everybody, all the stakeholders, to really look at the results of that first season and dwell on quite what the benefits are. And also the realities of European club competitions. You have 96 participating teams at the moment. You have hundreds more teams involved through qualifiers. This is a system which sustains an enormous amount of beneficiaries. And we should look at it in comparison to some of the domestic systems, which sustain much fewer beneficiaries at the top of the pyramid than this system sustains. And the metrics are very, very favourable. And I think just to repeat, because it's worth repeating one of the things that came up earlier, when it comes to the non-participating clubs, a lot of work went in last time to looking at where is that so-called solidarity money needed most. And it's arguably to the medium and small clubs who relatively suffer from very small domestic broadcast markets. And we're seeing huge increases last season in the amount of solidarity money going to those leagues and those clubs. So there's some really good stuff in there before we start getting too obsessed about the future.
And also don't forget here, I think this season we included 16 extra teams in Europe. And also from the cycle 24 onwards, going to be 4 in the Champions League, 4 extra in the Europa League, and 4 in the Conference League. So and playing more games. So in that way, that's for even clubs, let's say my size, the club of the caliber of my club. It's important to play European games, and the extra games. It's valuable for clubs to develop. Look at Feyenoord, for example, last year, playing for a long time in Europe, giving exposure to players. And of course, reaching the Conference League final, and because of that, a lot of players had gained interest from other clubs, and those transfer fees can help Feyenoord, for example, build a prosperous future in that part. So in that way, it's participation is important. Of course, winning is even better, but participation and making sure that that your players and as a club, you can get the exposure from playing European football. It's very important also next to the, of course, the distribution that have to be settled in the next year.
Just adding on Edwin's really good point, because for medium and smaller countries, the participation is the key, because then you also increase the value of the players. You have a better product and unity for your sponsors, fans, everything. The indirect value is equally important than the distribution system. And now when we see it with the increased participation, it has really changed. It's a game changer for medium and smaller countries. And we see it, for example, in my subdivision, Subdivision 4, both what we achieved in the last cycle for increased participation and solidarity, it's been a game changer for medium and smaller countries.
Okay, we stay in the room. Colleague here from Turkey, I think.
Hello, Doruk Tecimer from TRT Sports Turkey. My question is for Mr. Nasser El Halifi. As an ESA, you provided a lot as a financial contribution to lower leagues. In the future, will you guys provide a financial contribution to lower leagues? Thank you.
We're doing, and we're going to do more for sure. I think, the solidarity between all clubs is so important, and that's what we are focusing on, and for sure, we'll focus even more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next one.
Hey, Ali Walker from Politico Europe in Brussels. A question for Edwin and Nasser Al Khalifi. We've been writing about the potential for a World Cup bid between Greece, Saudi Arabia and Egypt for 2030. As the ECA, would Europe's clubs be concerned about the prospect of another Winter World Cup so soon after Qatar 2022?
I think for us, this is not our subject. This is not our position to comment on who candidate and who. We are just clubs, and we don't have any vote in FIFA. This is FIFA decision. And listen, it's too early to talk about the World Cup, isn't it? If it's not officially, so we cannot comment just on rumor. Thank you.
I think so. I think in a similar way. I think we're 2 months away from the World Cup in Qatar. I think a lot of football fans are looking forward to it. And that part, let's see what comes out of the tournament, how the year goes with all the European football pressed a little bit in between the limited time that the season has nowadays. The season running until I think early June or something. So let's see what comes from there. And I'm not sure the time frame that the decision from the FIFA has to be made for the new World Cup year. But I think take your learnings from this one.
Okay, in the interest of time, we're going to go to the colleagues online who've been waiting, and then if we have time, we're coming back in here. So we're going to test out the technology, and I can see that 3 people there have had their hands up for a long time. We'll try and go to Simon Stone from the BBC. Simon, can you hear us?
On a kind of domestic level, but also on an international club level as well. And do you think that in time there's going to be the same scramble for broadcast rights as we have for the men's game?
Well, ECA has been working both in women in football and women football. So the last year we have made a great progression, launching our strategy with the support of the administration and Claire Bloomfield that is leading this project, by which actually we try to be close with UEFA and our club's members also, in order to bring more growth to the sport. Additionally, we are happily creating a new structure a new membership structure with women club football, and this will bring like more voices of women's football in ECA. Now it's another part of what we are dealing with is the diversity and inclusion strategy that we have, and we have been also taking a lot of initiatives towards this direction in order to promote women's leadership and empowerment in football. Coming back to your question, it's one of the key priorities to grow women's football in Europe. That's why also we had a huge contribution from the men's sport, Champions League men's sport last year. And actually the numbers are showing that this is to the right direction.
Simon is of course nice for England, of course, that they won it, and congratulations with a fantastic coach. But it's also important that the rest of Europe is developing also in the women's sport. So I think there have been a lot of clubs also in Holland. More and more clubs are starting with women's football to make sure that for girls there's also a possibility to dream to play in a full house. And it's great that the English the Women's Premier League is benefiting from winning the title with the England national team, but we have to make sure that also other countries, mid-sized countries, we know in Spain there's already a big competition going in France with Jean-Marie Aulas being a forefighter for women's football, and let's hope that other countries and other clubs are able to follow also in their steps to make sure that there's enough development and the pace of development is picking up, and that's great, I think, for football in general, not only for women's football but football in general.
Thank you. And just one to Charlie, if possible. There was obviously the competitions, the Champions League is growing. We've got more clubs in Europe, in European football now, as you've mentioned. The Champions League will change in 2024. Club football, European club football will change. There's been reports out that there's a consideration. I don't know if it's ECA considering the merits of taking Champions League games or other competitive games out of Europe. Is there any substance to that whatsoever? Because obviously that would be a pretty significant step by the ECA and clearly by UEFA.
I'm happy to start, Simon. I'm sure others may want to contribute. No, I think we have seen those reports over the last week, and I think we're as baffled as other stakeholders have been in their responses. A lot of ideas get discussed when thinking about competition formats, fan bases, globalization of the game, media rights. A lot of things get, if you like, put into the washer. But in terms of kind of concrete plans, as has been suggested, and again, you know, the fact that it sort of would come from just the ECA, I think those things are unfounded with regards to the specific thing that you're asking about.
Simon, you pretend it's completely new or something that the games are playing abroad. I think the Italian Super Cup or certain cup finals are also played in different countries than the home country itself. So national association of national leagues are, I don't say also, but are already playing abroad in certain finals. So I'm not sure how far the ideas from UEFA or the ECA and everything, but it's of course nothing new that certain games are being played abroad.
Okay, Simon, sorry, I have to cut you, and you've also gone on mute. We've really got to hurry now. Got last two online. They've been waiting a long time. Martin Ross and then Jamie Gardner. Quickly, please, gentlemen.
Hi, Martin Ross from Sport Business. It's a question for NASA on the ECA-UEFA joint venture. Obviously, the TV rights for the next UEFA club competition cycle are in full swing with big deals in France, UK, USA. Can you explain the process of the deals being approved and signed off by the joint venture? Who is involved, and what will happen in markets such as MENA, Middle East, North Africa, where BN is bidding in order to avoid any conflict of interest? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. The joint venture actually it's between UEFA, as you know, and ECA. It's 49 ECA and 51 UEFA, and we have joint venture boards which represent both association, let's say, and going fantastic, the through. As we can see, the growth is going amazing. In US, an example, 150%, more than 150% in the TV rights, which there's more rights to be sold. So it's going fantastic. Regarding your question is about the MENA, of course, I'm not going to participate. There's process. You know, we have appointed actually an agency, both parties, which they doing the sales. So it's not the joint venture selling directly, just to make it clear for you. And there's the team marketing, which they're doing a fantastic job for the last 23 years and relevant in US. So they're selling the channels, which there's, I mean, for me, of course, I mean, you know, I'm not going to participate in MENA for sure. Thank you.
Okay, and the very last one, we really have to be quick. Jamie, online to you, and then we close. Sorry for that, but...
That's okay. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Jamie Garden from the Press Association. Just wanted to follow up on Simon's question about the potential for games outside Europe. I believe you've had executives from Formula One at the meeting this week, and the sort of spirit has been all about innovation and ways to grow the game and take it to new markets. Is it beyond the realms of possibility that the ECA and UEFA would look at taking matches to America as a means to grow revenues and attract new audiences?
Listen, I think we didn't discuss America specifically. We didn't agree basically in anything. What we're trying to do, how to grow and develop our competition. And we have the right to think about it, to explore different ideas, and to look at if it makes sense or not. So, but for today, I can confirm nothing that decided yet. But why not? We look for all the opportunity that we have to grow our clubs and our competition. Thank you.
I think that's a perfect statement to close with. Thank you to all of the journalists here and online. Thank you to the chairman and board members for joining, and we will see you soon. Thank you.
Record.